Hi, and welcome back to the WI Cookery School, where today we're going to make some lemon and rosemary sweet buns. Earlier on we made the basic white dough. There's a link on the screen now if you want to learn how to make that. Here I have the white dough, which has been proving and has doubled in size. I'm going to remove that from the bowl, and we're going to just knock this back. So knocking out the air, just work always in a clockwise direction and really push down really firm with your fingers. You'll feel the bubbles of air bursting in there. And then we're going to add our ingredients. So for a sweet dough, we don't want to add anything on the first rise because it will inhibit the growth of the yeast. So we're going to add some sultanas, and a top tip for this is sultanas are concentrated. They're a dried fruit, so they have a high amount of sugar in them. So they have a habit of burning when you put them in an oven in a cake or a bun. So always soak them. So pour some water on them, leave them on the side to soak, and it will just soften the fruit and reduce down the sugars from burning. So here are my ones that I've done earlier. So I'm just going to drain off that water and then sprinkle on your fruit. Now, if you haven't got any sultanas in your cupboard, you can use raisins, you can use currants, you could use cherries, apricots, whatever you have. Then we're going to use some fresh rosemary. So we're very lucky here at Denman because we've got fresh rosemary in our herb garden. And so always remember with rosemary, you don't want the twiggy stalk. So just run the opposite way to the way it grows, and it will just come straight off. Take off the rosemary, we're going to finely chop that. I've got some here chopped ready. Smells wonderful. So sprinkle in your rosemary, and then we want to use some lemon, so some fresh lemon. Now we're going to use the zest of the lemon. You need an unwaxed lemon because we don't want the wax in it. So if your lemons are waxed, just pop them in boiling water and that will dissolve the wax. Take a zester, you need a fine zester, and we just want the zest because the lovely lemon oil flavour is in the zest. Underneath that zest is the pith, and the pith is bitter. Great for setting agency, but not for actually flavour. So go around your piece of fruit with your lemon. You could use an orange, so if you don't have a lemon to hand, you could use an orange, that would also be very nice. And zest in that lovely fresh lemon. So there's our zest. And then we're going to knead all this through. So you're going to gather this all up like a parcel. The easiest way, remember this is really stretchy. It's got lots of gluten in it. So we're going to pull out all the edges and it makes like a neat ball. Roll it over, push it down, and then you're going to knead this through because we want it to be nice and evenly distributed. Now this will be quite sticky and it will go quite wet. So you might just need a little bit more flour, but please don't worry. Can you hear it squelching? So really knead that through, always with the heel of your hand. So my fingers are not actually in my dough. My hands are just using the heel of my hand to knead all this through. Whoops, we've got some runaway ones there. So gather those back in and just keep going until we've distributed this beautifully throughout. This smells amazing. And actually when you're baking, you use all your senses. You use the smell, the touch, the sight. So it's a really great craft to partake in. And then really just going round in a circular pattern, just knead that until you can feel it actually as you're doing it, that it's all distributed throughout. So that's our dough, really well kneaded. And then what we need to do is we actually are going to divide this up. Now you could make this into a fruit loaf and you could pop it in a loaf tin if you wanted to and make it as a loaf. Or in this instance, we're going to divide it. And baking and cooking are a bit like flour arranging. We work in odd numbers. So I would suggest you divide it into 9. But if you want bigger or smaller, by all means, adapt it as you see fit. So take those all out, and then we're going to learn how to mould. So to mould them, exactly the same way, pull in all the edges, roll it over, and then with your hand, you put your baby finger on the board, put your thumb the other side so it can grip it like that. Then the 3 other fingers are a cage. And then push down with this part of your hand. So push well down. And this, I can feel this moulding itself into a ball. And it's as simple as that. It does take practice, so don't think the first time it won't work. So just gather it up again, turn it over, fingers and thumb down and just push down. You're better to do this on a piece of wood or on a wood board because it will grip the dough and stop it spinning. And if you have too much flour, it won't mold because it will slip. So just gently gather it together and just mold. And when you get really proficient, you can use both hands and then you can do loads. So there you go. Those are our balls of dough molded. They're going to go into a dish. You can use a baking tray, you can pop them into a round casserole or a cake tin, so whatever you happen to have at home. And then they need to be left to prove. And I've got some here proving, which I'm going to show you, and they will double in size. So here they are. So there they are, they've proved beautifully in there. So this is just in a round dish or a cake tin, as I said, will do. Can you see the difference in the size of them? They've doubled beautifully and they're like a really soft pillow. At this point, they're actually quite fragile. So what we're going to do is we're just going to brush them, and I'm brushing them with a little bit of honey and milk. Because they're a sweet bun, it's quite nice to brush them with a sweet glaze. But you could just use milk, you could use egg. Make sure you brush all over. Be very gentle because it's very easy now to knock all this air out. So just glaze those round. And then these go into a hot oven, 200 degrees, fan or gas 6 or 7. And it's key to go in a hot oven and you spray a little bit of moisture over them to maintain the soft crust. So they're going to go into our oven to bake. So I'll pop those back in. And then I've got some to take out of the oven to show you. Just move that dough over. So I'm just taking these out of the oven, and there you have them, our really beautiful lemon and rosemary and sultana fruit buns. And you can see what a lovely glaze the milk and honey has given to them as they've baked. So they're great to take on a picnic to share, they're great to just have round for friends, but the idea is they're a tear and share. So I'm going to actually finish these off by icing them for you. And to make a very simple icing, I've got some icing sugar. And we're going to add the lemon juice because we've actually zested the lemon. So it's nice to use the lemon juice to go in it. So just take the juice from the lemon. We're going to make a nice thick icing. The reason I'm putting the icing on is because they're a sweet bun, but there's no sugar in the actual dough, which is great because we eat a lot of sugar at the moment in this country, so to be able to make them with less sugar is nice, and just a little drizzle of icing on the top will just give them that lovely sweet taste. So the zest of the juice of the lemon, mix that round to make your thick icing. This is just 300 grams of icing sugar and the juice of a lemon, and depending on how juicy the lemon is, you may need to add a little bit of water. Just mix that round to make our lovely thick icing, and then this is going onto the top. And make sure the lumps are out. And then you can either individually ice each one, or you can drizzle the icing over, whichever you prefer. So here's our icing on the top. And literally always ice with a spoon, because a spoon is much easier than a knife, because it's the right shape. So pop the spoon on, just twizzle it round, and then you can literally just pop a sprig of rosemary on the top of each one, and there you've got your lovely ice buns. I won't ice them all, but I'll just do that one, so we've got 3 done. So there you have it, our delicious rosemary and lemon ice buns. I do hope you've enjoyed making these with me today. I'm sure you'll enjoy eating them, so good luck and thank you.